I'd like to welcome everyone to our webinar today. My name is Eric Smith. I'm from the support department here in Tactical Flex. During the webinar, you will be able to post your questions directly on the webinar, and also at the end of the presentation, we'll provide our contact information where you can email us directly, and it'll be after the webinar that we will be able to personally respond to each question. And before we get started, I just wanted to give kind of an overview about Tactical Flex, that we have been building information security, vulnerability, and risk management solutions since 2003. We've been protecting, monitoring, and assisting 6,000 plus customers worldwide. And we believe that security is not a one-time purchase product, but a process that is continually changing as technology evolves. And Tactical Flex Inc. has always been on the forefront of recognizing both industry and general technology advancements, as well as advances in security threats. In today's dangerous cyber battlefield, cybersecurity attacks against the private and public sectors are continually evolving and targeting more and more organizations of all sizes. And we believe that today's IT security professionals need to assess and review their current security technology tools with an eye toward the evolving security threat environment. Knowing exactly what is going on inside the network in real time is more important than ever. Companies on the front line of data protection and information security are responding by investing in Tactical Flex Inc.'s new Anvil SAS, or Situational Awareness System, solution because it provides security intelligence, security automation, and offensive tools that help shore up defenses and turn data into actionable and comprehensive insights to reduce risk. Anvil SAS is an unparalleled end-to-end SIM-based Snort and Suricata IDS solution built with a unique situational awareness system. It is loaded with robust and powerful features, and we want you to make the most of them to ensure your networks are secure. And so today we'll be covering the importance of real-time threat management, security automation, and the use of offensive tools to help efficiently and accurately identify real threats and vulnerabilities before cyber criminals find them. Discover how to maximize your Anvil SAS console for real-time threat management, and also explore troubleshooting tips to ensure your networks are secured and the console is running properly. We'll also learn a few optimization tricks to obtain better network visibility and security intelligence. And we'll also discuss the concept of responsibility or responsible security and the value of greater situational awareness and security intelligence in today's cyber battlefield. As we mentioned, more than ever, enterprises are recognizing the importance of security information and event management, or SIM, in ramping up their security posture, and are taking a closer look at the products that incorporate multiple functions such as logging, reporting, network behavior analysis, and alerts in an appliance or enterprise software. Consistent studies show that SIM will emerge as a mainstream solution as enterprises strive to gain visibility across their networks and endpoints. Currently, 89% of mid-sized organizations surveyed by the RSA are using SIM already for security operations. Now, according to Dark Reading's article, Database Monitoring SIM Topped IT's List, IT organizations want better visibility into their network in order to react more quickly to advanced threats. 60% of organizations surveyed consider SIM a key solution for real-time view of network events, applications, and databases. 60% of respondents last year installed or updated existing tools to gain a better view of what's on their network, what's happening on their networks, and to gain better control over their networks. Among the key tools they are looking to add this year is SIM. RSA, during the RSA 2012 conference in London, has called on the industry to stop focusing so heavily on perimeter defenses and antivirus software and move towards intelligence-driven security SIM technology. Eddie Schwartz, the CIO at RSA, told Tech Week Europe, "We have to get this idea of visibility, where security teams aren't just waiting for new technologies, to where they are the hunters, they are the ones going out and finding threats." Now, moving on to the intrusion detection system market, Although IDS, IPS have become a necessary addition to the security infrastructure of nearly every organization, the current intrusion detection systems market is mature, with new innovations taking a relatively long time to enter the market. According to the 2011 Frost and Sullivan's Global Research Report, the intrusion detection industry has several key technological challenges across different platforms, and I'm going to list four of them. The first is a lack of situational awareness. The second is a high volume of false alarms and by law requirement of alarm verification. Third is central monitoring stations are constantly trying to reduce costs. And fourth, problems of scalability and deployment in large organizations. Now, Tactical Flex is on the forefront of recognizing these technological deficiencies and has designed Anvil SAS to deliver a highly interactive and scalable solution, complete with advanced data analysis, a fully integrated event management and attack data correlation engine, situational awareness engine, and false positive protection. Now, according to the dark reading article Tech Insight, Defenders Take the Offensive, pen testing tools such as Nmap can be used by defenders to proactively detect vulnerabilities and shore up defenses. Enterprises with a solid defensive posture often got there because they were able to shift their focus from being reactive to proactive. The use of offensive tools and techniques can help in that transition to detect the vulnerabilities prior to finding out about them because some bad guy exploited them. And so we're going to be looking at, again, this introduction to Anvil SAS, or its Situational Awareness System. Tactical Flex Inc., as we mentioned, is transforming the threat management market by raising the bar in situational awareness. Anvil SAS is designed with a powerful, automated situational awareness system that can provide a complete end-to-end network visibility across physical and virtual environments. Anvil SAS is the combination of the most advanced SIM features coupled with the newly released network host scanner, rogue host detection, and offensive reconnaissance that take full advantage of Nmap, the industry's most well-known and accomplished port scanning utility to perform both automated and on-request network reconnaissance. Anvil SAS provides enterprises of all sizes with a complete, scalable, and affordable end-to-end solution for Snort and Suricata that can adapt to the latest security threats, new vulnerabilities, the BYOD or bring your own device implementations, and everyday network challenges. Tactical Flex Inc. understands that organizations cannot afford to have a blind spot in their network infrastructure, as well as lack the capability to detect a potential or existing security breach and rogue devices. And so next, we're going to be looking at some of the basic troubleshooting tips, or those most common issues that I encounter here in the support department. We're going to be looking at kind of a test environment of Anvil. So we're not going to see a lot of heavy, network or Snort traffic, but all the features I will be showing you are operational and are available in all installations of Anvil. All right, so the first, issue people encounter is that they can't find their sensors, or they're not seeing their sensors, or they're not seeing any events. So we're going to end the show here. And looking at our test environment, this is the screen that you will see when you first install Anvil on your end. You'll obviously see the number of sensors, and it will also be producing the number of events per second, per hour, and all the events that have happened that day. So obviously we're not seeing any sensors or events right now. And so to first set this up, you're going to go here to the lower right-hand corner, console configuration. Because first you'll need to actually set up your sensors. You'll go to the Snort module, settings. You'll need to ensure that the database is enabled, that you have the right database name. A common mistake is that folks enter the Anvil database here, which is actually where we're going to be sending information. We want to access the Snort database. You want to enter its location and login credentials. And then anytime you make changes, always click Update. You'll know that you've entered them correctly when we then click on Sensor Configuration, and you see your sensors listed over here. you'll need to enable the sensor. You can enter its name, identifying information here, and then click Update. But that's only part of it. We allow you to monitor, I guess, as many sensors as you like. Many teams partition their sensors, and so they allow part of the team to manage so many of the sensors and the other half to manage the rest. And so the other important thing is also to click the user permissions. By so doing, now when we go back to the home screen, we see that we have one active sensor and we see available events. Now here's another trick though, is that while Anvil is importing Snort and Suricata events, the Anvil console itself also acts as a sensor to log console events, such as folks logging in correctly, failed login attempts, and other search reports. So if we go to console, sensor configuration, this is already enabled by default. Again, what you can do is enter more information, its location and time zone. And again, clicking update to commit any changes. But mainly, you just need to click the user permissions. When we go back to the home screen, we now see that we have two active sensors. Now, for those trialing Anvil, we allow you one Snort sensor. By activating the Anvil console sensor, you are not affecting that Snort sensor, so you can't have these two active at once. So now, we're able to activate our sensors, and we can see events. If this is not the case, the first place you'd go is back to console configuration. We know that we've been able to connect to our database because we can see our sensor here. And so what you'd next want to check is its last event. Anvil keeps this logged. We weren't seeing any recent Snort events, and according to this, the last Snort event was October 8th. So we can then deduce that there's something wrong with Snort. It's obviously not running, or something else is not correct. And so if that's not, and if that's the case, folks might say, well, my Snort box is running. Well, if that's the case, it may not be producing the right traffic, or you may not have the right signatures enabled to capture that traffic. So we'll go back to our home screen there. But again, so that's kind of how we set up our sensors, and just some basic troubleshooting tips to see your events and see your sensors. Moving on to the next tip, or I guess the most common item, folks often encounter issues downloading signatures from Snort and emerging threats. Now, Anvil does support signatures from any source, including source fire and emerging threats, and they can be the free or subscription-based rules. Anvil also automatically retrieves signature updates as they become available, and you'll be notified with the user message that signature updates are available. So moving back to our demo here, so again, if we go back to our console configuration, under Snort module, if we go to signature sources, this is the area where you can create or obtain those signature sources by simply clicking create source, entering its name and its URL. Now, if you're downloading signatures directly from Snort, you're first going to need to create a Snort account. Those are free, and you can do that at snort.org. You'll also need to obtain an OINC code, which allows you to download signatures. Now, in some URLs, the OINC code is simply tacked on to the end of the URL. In some cases, it's not necessarily tacked on to the end, but it's still necessary. And that's where, if we go back to our main configuration and preferences, we'll find here an option to enter that OINC code. And again, once that's entered, click Update. To ensure that the signatures are downloading properly, first of all, you won't see this button by default to download enabled source packages. So again, moving back to our preferences, if we scroll to the bottom, you'll need to ensure that the download and processing is checked and updated. If you don't see this button here, it's because that box has not been checked. Now, folks often see their rules are green, they think everything is good to go, but a couple other items to check is its last download date. And not only that, but its last file size. Often you'll see, or you can see, I guess, an up-to-date timestamp, but the file size is 0. This is where you want to ensure that the URL is correct, and also especially that the Anvil console has the permissions to access these outside URLs, because many networks don't have that capability, or at least they need to be granted those permissions. And here we go. Here's our message saying that our signature importing has been completed. And this, again, it can do daily, or again, it can do on command simply by clicking Download Enable Source Packages. By clicking this, we can simply clear that message. And that's how you can download signature packages and ensure that they are downloaded and up to date. And so moving on to our next item, we're actually moving into our optimization tips and tricks. And the first being situational awareness. And what it's going to do, again, it identifies which specific devices, services, and approximate areas of the network are most at risk and which are more likely to be a problem in the future. And it does this by providing a detailed event and threat-based view of the network, allowing you to make informed decisions about the network as far as where a focus needs to be placed. It also enables false positive event validation. And that's another handy tool that automatically tags and filters events to help keep false positives from overpowering true risk. Because I've heard of a number of people who have given Snort a shot. They've tried an IDS, but ultimately what often trips them up and makes them throw in the towel are false positives, which makes us especially pleased with Anvil SAS that this option is available. All right, so moving back to our demonstration here, where you can actually first view situational awareness is up here in the top. Simply click situational awareness. Now again, where this is a test environment, we have just the one device connected to it. So it's not the most, I guess, exciting layout here with multiple devices, but still, even up front, this bird's eye view, our one device, we can see all the events created as a source and also as a destination. Immediately we can see that it hasn't been producing too many events on its own by way of someone actually using this device. But as a destination, we can see that there are a number of high-risk events. And for those unfamiliar, when we come to risk 1, that's going to be your higher risk. And the risks, or I guess the threat level, just decreases as you move up the scale. And so we can see, again, that there are a number of high risks here, which may want to tell us to actually check this out. We could then determine if these risks are an actual threat to the network, if they actually do pose any kind of threat, and move on from there. Now, to set up situational awareness and also the false positive protection, we're going to go back to our console configuration and visit device management. We need to tell Anvil all of the devices that are connected to the network and exactly how they operate, how they connect and, I guess, communicate with the network. So you'd first click Create Device. You'd give it its name, description, interface, and IP address, and most importantly, its services. Now, here's a trick. We use offensive reconnaissance. This is a tool that works in concert with Nmap to retrieve a host's OS fingerprint, its up-down state, and available services. Now, generally, this is used to gain reconnaissance from those offending our network or posing threats. But we can also use this to gain information about our own network. So we could simply enter the IP address of this host, read our little disclaimer here, because in some areas, countries, and even companies, it's not legal to use or even possess this software. We arm it and then perform that scan. Performing the scan then takes us to reconnaissance management, which is available right here under console configuration. These results come back relatively quickly. Just refresh, and there it was. Now you can see I've already performed one of these scans today, but our most recent one, as you can see, it provides all of this available services on that particular device, which we can then, again, visiting device management, input it here, and will then understands how this device interacts with the network. And then I'll bring up some Snort events here. You can also see that it has been validated. The green circle and the check, you then know that this is a real event. This is not a false positive. I mean, it's then up to you to determine if this is a real threat or not, but at least we know that this is a real event. An extremely handy tool, and you can see that we're obviously pleased and proud of it because we're calling it Anvil SAS. Now moving on to the next tip and trick here, we're going to be looking at event correlation. Now, event correlation is one of the most important tools for a SIM, and Anvil does it wonderfully by providing multiple detailed and dovetailed views of correlated network traffic. To access it, or at least to access those charts that Anvil produces, because again, in the background, Anvil is doing this all by itself. If we go to charts and graphs, these are the different views that we can access to view these different correlated events. One of my favorites is frequent offenders, because in addition to showing you from the top down those folks that are producing events, possible threats, and offending the network, it also incorporates our latest live geolocation map, so we can actually see the pinpoints on where these folks are located. Now another one, when we talk about these dovetailed views, we can also look at frequent tags. Now a tag is something that we can manually or even automatically mark on an event that would just give it more of a description, something that we might greater understand about our network. For example, looking at any one of these events, I can click on the event details right here. Anvil's going to come with a number of, I guess, default tags, as we see here: critical, false positive, high risk, low risk, whatnot. We can also add our own custom tags. For example, I'll just mark this as high risk. And we can see that this tag has now been assigned. Now, if we go up to My Options and Tag Management, this is where you can create new tags. And so moving back to our charts and graphs, we go to frequent tags. This is showing us those tags that we've used most frequently. And this will show the tags again that any, I guess, administrator or user of Anvil has been producing. Now this also kind of ties in with our next tool that we'll be investigating here, and those are the automated actions. And the automated actions allow us to monitor, or I guess just keep better track of the network, because again, they're all working in the background. They can be used to send email alerts, manage traffic, and suppress nuisance events, and also execute shell commands, which many do, to update firewall settings based on a given attack. So if we go back to My Options, we can go to Action Management. Here we can create an action and then edit it. You first want to enable it, give it its name and description, whether you want it to match any or all of the criteria you set. And then when it comes to the threshold and threshold time, if I set the threshold to 0, that means that every time my criteria is matched, the action will be performed. However, I could say if the criteria is matched 5 times in a matter of seconds, and our threshold time is always measured in seconds, so we can say if my criteria is met 5 times in 500 seconds, then go ahead and perform. But we can just leave it at 0 if we want and say perform it every time. And again, you always want to click Update to commit those changes. Then moving down, criteria to match. What do we want to say? We'll say if there is a risk level of 1, actions to be performed, the number of actions available. I want to send an email to default@mail.com. I also want to tag that event as high risk. And then this is where you can also use the automated function of offensive reconnaissance. You don't need to input anything in this bar. This will automatically essentially be filled with the source IP that's producing this event. So we can add that too. This is the custom email. You can you can change if you like. It's kind of a skeletal email right now, and all of this information here will be filled in with the information from the given event. But again, you can add your name and your email and where it's going. Now that that's been all updated, that's one of our actions. Again, a very handy tool to output some of your actions to make them all running in the background. Now, a next tool, this is one I particularly enjoy and like, are the Anvil SMTs, or the sensor management tools. So often between different Snort front ends, folks are running between the GUI and the command line to get to Snort, to update its configuration, to update its signatures, which can be a bit more time-taking. But the Aanval SMTs, they allow us to monitor all sensors by essentially pinging them every 3 seconds and returning a heartbeat, and they also allow us to push and pull Snort configuration files and rules all within Anvil. Now, the SMTs aren't necessary for Anvil to operate, but they are very handy and effective. And they are included with every installation of Anvil. Now I'm going to click over here to our Anvil wiki, which can be found at wiki.anvil.com. I'm here at our sensor management tool page, where it'll show you the basic requirements, where they're located in your Anvil installation, and where they need to be installed. Basically, they just need to be installed on each sensor itself. And then there's a few basic configuration items here. One in particular, the SMT ID, which we can find and change on our end here. Back at console configuration, Snort module, if we go to sensor configuration, this is where we see our SMT ID. Now, if we go to sensor management, we see that we do have our sensor listed and that it's green. If it's anything other than green, it'll just be white, which simply means that you haven't installed the SMTs or they haven't been configured properly. Otherwise, this will be green, and you'll notice that's status check, heartbeat, and heartbeat cancel. We know that this one's been around for a little while. We see that it's currently connecting and communicating with the sensor itself. We also see the policy, which holds the list of signatures that are enabled on this particular sensor. And that's where you can also choose different policies. We see its Snort configuration listed here. And then this is our option to send different messages directly to the sensor itself. And the way this is set up, the SMT is wonderfully designed because they're very secure. It's essentially sending ping messages back and forth. And so it's going to carry these messages to it. A very secure method so that no one is really going to access this and they're not going to be able to upload, terrible viruses to the sensor, because it's just simply taking these certain messages that we can send. And so to give you an example as to how these would be used, all right, so again, we've downloaded some rules. We got that message before that they've been imported. If we then go to signature management, we'll see our list of policies here. We knew that the Delta policy was enabled on that sensor, so we want to bring that up and see exactly what's in detail listed. So for example, we can go to our backdoor rules. And these are all the different categories listed. Generally, those that just speak for themselves as here, like botnet, CNC.rules, these are going to be your Snort rules. Those from emerging threats generally always start with emerging. So we're looking at our backdoor rules. There are 7 available. We currently have 5 active, which we can see right here. And I want to enable 2 more. So I'll click them here. I'll update the policy on Anvil's end. We'll go back to our sensor management. And then what we want to do is send the Snort rules. We want to send the Snort configuration. And then restart Snort. Now, for those that already have an IDS in place, you also have the option, because you've already had rules placed, you've already created your own policies. Once you do create a policy, you can simply say get Snort rules and get Snort configuration, and those policies will then be filled with the information you've already placed on that sensor. All right. But extremely handy tools, those I definitely recommend using, if anything, just for simplicity reasons. Now, moving along, we also wanted to discuss benefits of Anvil SAS and what's included in each package, because these, again, we are very pleased with these packages, as are our customers. We've kind of posed what is responsible security. Before, we've kind of asked customers, if you were able to monitor, or I guess if there was no limit to what you could monitor on your network, exactly what would you monitor? And from which devices would you gather information? And of course, we heard that, well, of course, we'd get it from everything. And before, we used to sell, like many other folks, individual licenses. So you'd pick up 1 or 2 Snort sensor licenses, you'd pick up a syslog license, but we found that wasn't enough. Companies weren't satisfied because they weren't getting everything they wanted. They weren't getting all of the information. And so what we've done, rather than issue these individual licenses, we're going to send you one Anvil SAS unlimited sensor capacity license, where you are no longer limited by sensor capacity costs. So you can grab, again, data from all of your sensors. And this especially makes it great for those companies that want to expand. They want to move, to other states, other countries. Not a problem. Easily do that. You can monitor all of it from this one central console. And so within this one Anvil SAS package, these are some of the I guess, benefits that you'll receive. So in addition to getting that unlimited sensor capacity license, which will allow you to monitor different devices such as Snort, Suricata IDS sensors, and also any device that's capable of external logging, which, again, many devices do, and that's also easy to set up. You also receive telephone and remote support. These have been extremely handy for those that really need to get their system back online. This is where remote support is so, almost crucial, because we can immediately dial in, take a look what's going on, and get it back online. Along with your Anvil SAS package, you also receive maintenance. So you would receive all patches and bug fixes and all minor and even major upgrades. We have a wonderful wiki site and website, and those are always being updated with a number of installation guides, troubleshooting guides, definitions, and tools. And that's what you'd receive in your Anvil SAS package. Additionally, we are the guys who can provide that complete end-to-end solution. We're here to support what we write and produce, Anvil, but our guys in our development support department are incredibly skilled to be able to also install every piece of your complete IDS system, to optimize it, and then we additionally provide Anvil training. And within Anvil SAS, these are some of the fabulous features that you'll be receiving. And again, where you have maintenance, and there's another major upgrade coming, you'll get all of those features that come as well. And we invite everyone here, if you haven't already done so, to visit anvil.com/download to take Anvil for a free test drive. And again, you can visit our wiki And if you have any kind of questions about Anvil SAS, this is where you can contact me directly. Or again, you can submit those questions until the end of this webinar. Any questions about the Anvil SAS packages, definitely contact Kenneth Bitts. And then also definitely inspect our comparison chart about Anvil SAS and the different prices and packages available for you and your organization, because if anything, we want you to understand that Anvil SAS is for everybody, from mid-size to enterprise, and everyone in between. We offer those solutions. We're very proud and pleased of it. Our customers have been very excited about it as well. And we want to thank you all for attending the webinar today. We hope you found it educational, informative, and we look forward to continuing to do business with you. But we thank you for your time, and have a wonderful day.